I would say start paying your nurses fairly, understand what they actually do at the bedside, their role in that patient's care. They're there 12 hours. The doctor might be there for 30 minutes. Oh, maybe delete that. I love doctors, but like the nurses are there non-stop.
Yeah.
Pay them for it.
Thank you for joining me for another episode of On the Clock and Off the Record. Each episode is brought to you by Atlas MedStaff, unapologetically human. Today's guest is Mark Zabludovsky, and I believe I got that right.
Close.
Director of Nursing and Recruitment at ARMStaffing. Mark, did I get that right? Is that right?
It was close. Let's go with Mark Z for the rest of eternity. So much easier for everybody.
All right. Mark's path to healthcare staffing is a little bit different than most. He worked as a travel nurse first and then found his way into staffing leadership. That gives him a really unique perspective. And the reason why, besides the fact that we're friends, the reason why I wanted to have him on the podcast with me today, we're going to talk about his journey, recruiting, leadership, and what happens when someone who actually worked bedside moves into leadership at a staffing company and is responsible for those clinicians that he puts into hospitals every single day. Mark Z, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Rich.
Right,
really good to be here.
What I missed about you? Give me the 30-foot view of how you got to where you are right now.
30-foot view means that we'll probably jump into some of the questions that we'll eventually cover, but I'll try and long story short this, and I say that every single time, but it winds up being a long story because you know me, I talk. But basically, had a few career changes a couple decades back, got into nursing because of some family influence. My half-brother and stepsister were both nurse anesthetists at the time, and I thought, wow, that looks like an interesting path. Got into nursing, became a nurse. My first job was very far away from home. I'm from the Philadelphia area, but I took my first full-time job in Texas City, Texas, Mainland Medical Center, south of Houston. Well, because I wanted ICU fresh out of school, because I wanted to become a nurse anesthetist. ICU was a prerequisite. Back in 2013, you couldn't just be like, well, I'm going to go be an ICU nurse. Like, no, there was other people in line for that. So the first job I got, I took it, went down to Texas, thought to myself, man, this is hot. How can I get back closer to home? I started applying to some positions, and I got a contract in Buffalo, moved to Buffalo. Not a contract, I'm sorry, full-time position in Buffalo, moved to Buffalo. And it was pretty cool because I didn't even realize till I got on the unit that it was a CVICU, which was crazy. Jumped right into open heart, like hair on fire, the guy walking into the room, everything's burning, swinging a towel with the pizza. And that was me.
Yeah.
Real exciting. And I had always kind of looked into the travel thing. I had always heard about travel nursing. Back then, I had found some company that sent you away to like the UK. They specifically staffed Scotland, Ireland. It was crazy. And that to me back then is what I thought travel nursing was. Met a girl through online. Turns out she was from Philly. I was going back and forth between Philly and Buffalo, driving every week. Wound up being the right move because she's now my wife. We have two beautiful kids, two beautiful daughters. And when I decided to make that move back to Philly and quit my job, I said, hey, let me try this travel nursing thing. Started doing travel nursing, picked up a few assignments. But my previous life had centered around, one of my careers was in finance. One of my careers was in tech. I had done mortgages, so I was good with numbers, understood math. I was very into stocks, very into crypto and things of that nature. And after being a travel nurse for so long, for maybe I think 4 years or so, I had become very good friends with the owner of the agency that I work for now. She knew my whole life. She knew my background. Best kind of recruiter you could ever think of, actually. And I'm sure we'll get into that.
Yeah.
But she knew I was looking to make a change. I was considering doing some business type stuff. I had a couple buddies that owned businesses. They were going to give me a desk. I was going to look into the stock market and things of that nature. I had applied for a management position at Temple University in Philadelphia. And we were on the phone one day and she's like, Mark, why don't you consider coming into this business and helping me grow this company? Yeah. And it was kind of a whoa. And then as that happened, I quickly realized that wow, I didn't waste any of my previous careers. Like, I didn't want to just throw nursing away, right? Because like I just worked so hard on that. But this was like a culmination of everything, understanding the mortgage business and helping me understand the numbers so I can put pay packages together and have these conversations with nurses. The tech career before that, so I can understand the ATSs and the VMSs and all these crazy things we've got. And then the nursing, obviously, to put me in a position to be able to relate with these guys. So there I guess I didn't long story short it. I long storied it. So
that totally works for me.
Sorry.
I had no idea. So it's interesting. As I had talked to, I record these generally. I do a couple per day. And one of the other guests I had just talked to, so I guess in this world, right, would have been a few weeks ago, said the same thing. Like, got to this through he came through restaurant management and then got here, right? I came through retail. You came through a different, right? And so how we all got here is super interesting, and how we all kind of share the same through lines, but at the same time, it's so dramatically different. It's fascinating to find out, to hear these stories.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's, I feel like I'm on the path I was supposed to be at with so many forks along the way. I mean, but I get, right. That's life, I guess, right?
That's totally life. Yeah, that's absolutely life. Okay, before we get into it,
what a good time to do this.
Right? You had made a suggestion when I asked you to do this. You said, and you were a fan of our beer podcast before that we had previously. You said,
yes,
could we have some beers while we do it? That sounds good to me. Now, you pivoted on me, which is totally fine.
I did. I apologize.
One of our travelers brought me some spotted cow which I can't get here in Nebraska. So I will gladly open this. What do you have?
Well, so shout out to your traveler, because that's
Absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah. And I mean, there's the relationship building right there.
Yeah.
So I have, and funny relationship building as well. So I have my favorite bourbon, E.H. Taylor. It's a Buffalo Trace. It's one of the Buffalo Traces. And I won't say it showed up on my desk because that would imply it came through the mail, which is not allowed. But there is somebody from the NATHO conference, and now that I've said that, I don't want to put his name out there, but somebody that I met at NATHO had a couple conversations, and they all wound up around bourbon. Interesting, I guess, right? Yep. And so this, I can't find it in Pennsylvania in a wine and spirits because we're controlled by the state, Yep. And one guy I met was in California, and he said, Mark, we have E.H. Taylor at CVS. I said, first of all, you have alcohol at CVS? And then second of all, you have E.H. Taylor at CVS. And then another guy was like, hey, I'm going to have someone bring you a bottle.
I will make sure it gets to your desk.
The mule is on the way.
There you go. All right.
Yeah. So I will be rolling a little E.H. Taylor because my beer was bad selection of today.
Totally fine. So this will be the first one where I believe I guess the Boosty guys, I had beers with them, because we had that connection, but I'm always happy to share a libation while we go through these.
Excellent. And I won't drink too much because I've got some one-on-ones after this. So
good call. It is in the afternoon, so I mean we're not recording this early in the morning. So
right, touche.
Yeah.
Touche. So virtual cheers.
All right, cheers.
Cheers.
I forgot how good that beer is. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Man, I was nervous coming into this. I'm not nervous anymore. No.
Not anymore, right? It totally cuts totally cuts all that nervousness out. All right.
It does.
Let's go on the clock.
Yeah.
First question. You've lived this experience. You were a nurse at bedside doing this every single day. What's something recruiters and staffing leaders still don't fully understand about that kind of life?
Okay. So the emotional weight of bedside care does not end when the shift ends. I think we've all heard that. Oh man, do we mean it? Especially for ICU. Well, for every nurse, but I've seen some things in the ICU that come home with you,
Say that again, because that's important.
The emotional weight of bedside care does not end at the end of your shift. It comes home. As an ICU nurse, I saw some stuff, and I don't want to get into detail or anything like that. I didn't even write this down, but you've just reminded me. But it's almost like a strange feeling because you get numb to things that you don't think that you could ever get numb to. Yeah. You see things happen over and over. And I guess that's you becoming an experienced nurse, right? Like you getting the experience and becoming hardened by it in a good way. But at the same time, it's also like, how is that not affecting me? You know, like
Right.
I weep more for a dog that passes than I do, you know, when, than other situations that you see in the hospital, because in the hospital, you're trained to keep your cool and move forward. But like when you come home, it's like, well, that just happened today, you know? So I think recruiters sometimes underestimate how hard it is for a nurse to answer calls, text back, or make career decisions. Imagine after having a shift like that, or any shift. Like it's 12 hours of hell in a lot of cases with everything being understaffed. But I got a good line on this, but it pretty much says like, you're not really anybody to them until you are. So like, if I just came off a bad shift and you're like, why didn't you get back to me? Who are you? Right. And like, do you have any idea what I just went? Like, you're not even a thought. Like their thought is about driving home and not the random text that they got asking them about the position to see if they were interested or if that pay package was good enough. Like that takes time, you know? So I think understanding, and I don't want to jump too far from the question because I might go into other answers that I've got. I think what I would say to that is don't waste their time. It's extremely scarce because from that job, they have a family that they have to take care of. Come prepared and be an expert. Don't be sloppy. If you do get me on the phone, have your things in order. Have the position that you know you want to present to me in order. Know the pay package. What's the breakdown on the stipends? What are all these things? We all know The Wolf of Wall Street. Jordan Belfort actually had a sales program outside of the movie. And he always talked about making an impression and being the expert and being the person that people want to talk to. And I've always talked about during the podcast or during the things we were on before, it's showing yourself as that expert and being the person that they want to work with. And then as a recruiter, this is the part where I actually did write it. You're literally just an afterthought. I'll just circle back to that. It's your job to work on becoming something beyond just that. And that takes some time.
Absolutely true. I think I learned early on that what you said is exactly true, that you are afterthought sounds gross.
Brutal. It's brutal.
Right. It's brutal. It totally is, but it's absolutely true. And if you can learn to speak the same, you don't have to speak the same language, but speak the same type of language. Understand everything that you do as a nurse has to be charted, right? Everything that you do when you come in has to be tracked. And so if you can do that with them as a recruiter, if you can speak that language, right, and be as consistent and concise as they
match the level of urgency.
Yep.
If there is nothing more annoying than not annoying. There's nothing that pisses me off. Well, we are off the record, aren't we? There's nothing that bothers me more than a lack of urgency for people in urgent situations. We are dealing with their finances. We are dealing with literally that check that could potentially be paying all of their bills. And believe it or not, regardless of what everyone thinks travel nurses make, many live paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
You know, like one lost paycheck, one situation where you drop the ball could cost so much. So come prepared with that urgency, or learn to scale yours back a little bit if they're more on the chill side. You know, it's adaptability and things like that. So,
So travel nursing, as we talked about, changed your career trajectory quite a bit. What did that give you versus like a perm staff role that couldn't have given you, right?
Yeah. Yeah, this is my favorite. This is like literally my favorite thing is talking to a staff nurse, early 20s, whole life ahead of them, no commitments at home, and they have never heard of travel nursing before. That is my absolute most favorite conversation because I'm talking about Paris. I'm talking about where this is going to take you.
Yeah.
I'm talking about working 3 months on, working 1 month off, going to climb Machu Picchu. I'm talking about that trip to Japan you never knew you wanted to take, but now you think you do because we talked about it, right? Yep. So the ability to choose where I want to work, when I want to work, you get that in travel. You don't get that in staff. I didn't write this down, but the thing that I always thought of for personally myself was nurses eat their young is a phrase we've all heard, correct?
Yeah.
So sometimes a nurse goes into a facility and there are limited options with around where you live, right? Maybe 2 or 3 hospitals within a 40-minute drive in either direction. So you go to a unit, you're a new nurse or you're an experienced nurse, and there's cliques, right? So as a male nurse, I kind of got off easy. I bring donuts, I make everybody happy.
Yep.
I know how to work the system, right? I learned you get in good with the manager and with the ones who run the show, and I'm okay. I'm just the guy there, you know? But your traditional nurse, if you're not part of that clique, you can feel really out of place really fast. Yeah. And the problem is you have nowhere to go because you can't just quit your job if you're being bullied, right? You could try and talk to the manager, but good luck having something happen. It rarely ever does because of politics and inter-hospital crap going on, right? And just the inability to actually get something done by the people that are involved. So I don't think you've got the freedom with staff nursing to be able to say, blank you, I'm out of here. Where's my next assignment? Or I've got 6 weeks out of 13 left. I'm cool. I can roll. So the feeling that's on their back when they know that like this will be over soon, and I know my recruiter's already looking for the next one, it's just gotten lifted, and they can deal with a lot more. They can put up with a lot more because they know that that's right around the corner. Travel gave me the ability to change my life in a financial sense as well. My wife, who is now a nurse, was working as something else when we were dating and right before we got married. Because of the extra income that I was making as a travel nurse, it enabled her to stop having to work. She actually went and did prereqs, got into Gwinnett University it's in Pennsylvania, basically, and went through school for about 3.5 to 4 years. And she is now a nurse, and she's working as a nurse as well. During that time of her not working, we were still able to save for our first house together from the money that we made during travel nursing. Getting the loan was a pain in the ass, but you know that's always. It's great if a recruiter can have that conversation too, but that's a tough one because they need to know mortgages and taxable versus non-taxable and all that good stuff. Yep. But I digress. So that was major because on a staff salary, first of all, I would not have been able to support us even without us getting our first home. You know, even forget the house part. Plus, we had our first child, so it was like okay, like yes, I was away a lot. I was doing that, but I was setting ourselves up for a future, and it wound up being the right move in hindsight. It also taught me new skills that I found to be extremely cool. So I was a CVICU nurse. In my head, I knew everything. I'm the man. I'm a CVICU nurse, right? That's the creme de la creme. Until I took my first contract in a neuro ICU, and I got a heart rate and a blood pressure on a patient. Heart rate was maybe 120s, right? Normal range 60 to 100. This guy's in the 120s, and blood pressure something like 180 over like 100, which is very high. Now, as a CVICU nurse, you need to control that heart rate and control the blood pressure because if they just had, that is the left side. I wasn't sure about the video. Actually in the center, I'm feeling my bullshitting. I know nothing about hearts. If they had a bypass, right, and your blood pressure is too high, you could blow that graft. And then they're bleeding out, right? So tight controls, free autonomy, titration, all those beautiful things that I miss and love. But on the neuro unit, I'm seeing these numbers high and I'm like, all right, it's 2 a.m. I'm calling the provider. I'm like, yo, doc, listen, I got a heart rate of 120, 130, BP 180 or 100. What are we going to do here? And he's like, we're good. And I'm like, no. I'm like, labetal or metoprolol. What do you want me to press? What are we going to use to get it down? He's like, no, we're good. I'm like, no, we're not. So he came up later and he explained to me, he's like, Mark, welcome to the brain. This is not the heart. We need blood pumping hard and perfusing to the brain so that they don't stroke or so that they don't have another event. So that was my first understanding that like, I'm not the shit. I don't know everything. But doing this travel nursing where I got floated between multiple units, which I find to be a gift that travelers find to be a curse. Because this is how you learn. Yeah. I started taking pride in the fact that I am cardiac heavy, but a jack of all trades, master of none. you could put me after Temple as well. They used to send me up to the SICU. They would put me in MICU. Temple's got a different name for every different ICU. RICU for the respiratory, VICU, they have a vascular ICU. So they would float me around everywhere, Albany as well type of thing. And I just got so comfortable switching from location to location, coming in at 11 o'clock for the half shift because they floated me mid shift. And I just got to love it because like I felt like I was going and I had purpose and I was helping where I needed to be helped. And I think a lot of travelers forget that that's what we're there to do. That's why we make the money that we make. So I think I kind of went off on there. And with that came the confidence of walking into a unit. I did kind of cover my other bullet there.
No, you totally did. And it leads me into the next question too, is we all talk about, making the traveler experience as good as it could possibly be. Put the clinician first, right? We all talk about it. I do it every day. I know it's part of what you do every day. What does that really look like with everything else that's going on in our world, right? On this side of the desk that we sit on, what does that look like for you?
So I have that nurses often think agencies are just trying to sell them a job, right? But good agencies are trying to create a fit that works for the nurse, for the facility, and for the relationship long-term, right? A lot happens behind the scenes. I don't think that they know this. There's account management. There's credentialing involved. There's compliance. We're doing rate negotiation potentially with the client for them. There are client conversations happening, start date issues, extensions being worked on, problem solving. I mean, there's so much going on across the board there. And I think that some nurses think that recruiters control everything, and we don't. We don't have all of the power. Although I wish we did, right? No. In reality,
we did, right? I mean, it would be, yeah.
I want more money. Go get me more money.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. Hold on. Let me Salt Bay a little. Right. Sprinkle it on top.
Yeah.
In reality, recruiters are often advocating within constraints, right? Yeah. I mean, we've got room to tweak here. We've got room to move there. We can ask for the things that they want, but it doesn't necessarily mean we can get them. And that often, I think, sometimes makes us look like the bad guy when we are truly doing whatever we can. It's fun. It's a weird thing I just noticed. I said us. A second ago, I was us, the nurse. Right now, I'm us, the recruiter. So it's a tough mind shift. But I think, and this is the key, the more we explain the process and the more transparency that we provide for these guys. And I think that recruiters are scared to be too transparent. Like, no, you can't give a bill rate. But I've given, let's pretend the bill rate's 100 and I'm getting you 70. Like I've given scenarios.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like I think us just being honest and not scared to be honest is what makes the difference.
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely true. And I've had this conversation multiple times just recently. A guest I had a couple of episodes before, one of our very good recruiters, in fact, our top recruiter here at Atlas, she is very open to sharing the bill rate, but she's going to preface that with saying, wait a minute, I want to make sure you understand this is everything that goes into it. So as long as you want to have this 25, 30-minute conversation about everything that goes into the bill rate, including insurance and everything that goes into that.
Burdens, employee tax match, all of it.
Absolutely. Keeping the lights on in the building and, and all of that. And I'll tell you how much I make on this contract and all of that. We can have that conversation. Or I can just cut to the chase and tell you exactly what you need to know right here. And, over explaining. Some people want to know that, others don't. And I think you're right. As long as you're transparent and open about it, you're not going to lose there. Yeah. It might take you longer.
And you know what will happen? It will help recruiters. And I don't know if this was supposed to be a nurse-centered question or a recruiter, but we're going to just take it wherever it's going right now. Yep. I think it would help recruiters weed out. I was going to say weed out the S, but I shouldn't because that's talking about it would help recruiters weed out the person that is not right for them. Is that the right way to say that? It's like
that job, right? They might be right for a different job, but they're not right for that recruiter at that time for that position.
Yes. Yes. And if they are saying something like, I want 3,000 and everything else is 2, and it's just, or you can just tell that it's somebody there's red flags, right? Too many red flags popping up. Some recruiters won't address the red flag they notice because they just want to get the submission.
Yep.
Other recruiters will say, hey, wait a minute. Tell me more about why you just hesitated, right? Or tell me more about why that's a problem. Why do you want to work at a level 1 trauma center? Or why don't you want to work at a level 1? Oh,
Yeah.
it's because you want to be in the city. What if I could, you know what I mean? Like it's asking questions. It's getting to know these people. And the transparency mixed in with that, we are lacking across as an industry in that.
And we always have. Honestly, I think that'll always be. It will always be.
You know better than me. I've been doing this 7 years, so you're on. You.
Oh boy! In July it'll be 23. So 23 years. So it's been a minute. But I can tell you.
And you still have brown hair?
No. It's you see how good this is. This is No. You can tell. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, there you go. Yeah. All right. Last question in on the record. If you could sit down with hospital executives, with your MSP providers, with your VMS,
this is a good question,
right? And make them understand one thing. What is that?
I got to ask a question first. MSPs, guys, you bumped up during COVID on your percentage, and you know there's a margin squeeze going on right now, and we are 2 to 3 years post-COVID now. Any chance you could come back down so we can actually get a little bit more competitive and get these nurses the packages they want so we can staff your facilities and keep your clients happy so they stay working with you directly? We've taken the compression. The candidates have taken the compression. How about you throw a little 2% at us? Just a little something. So,
I'd be okay with that.
Rich, you can edit that out later if you want or not. But and listen, I love our MSPs. I love our partners. But I feel like that's the one piece on all these conferences we're hearing about. Well, what's changed on the margin side? What's changed on the facility cost side? Mm-hmm. And the one thing that I feel like nobody's ever talking about at these conferences, like, well, the MSP fee hasn't gone back down, or the VMS fee hasn't gone back down. You know, some jumped from like when I first started, I feel like some were like 3 to 4%, and then it was like around 5. You know, and that was kind of like the normal thing, 5 to 5.5. And then some jumped from like 7 to 8. I think one jumped to like 10% somewhere. I have seen one come down by like a half a point or a point, but like they've all stayed up there while all the bill rates have come back down and our margins. I mean, all right. So there, I've said that finally.
There is a deeper conversation that we could have that would last 3 times as long as this, as long as we've gone already, about how rebates have affected our industry. Rebates didn't exist back in the day. I was 2.5% staffing Kansas and Missouri in like 2008, 2009, 2010, right? That was at 2.5%. And we thought, oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. 2.5%, crazy, right? But then rebates were introduced into the system. And I believe that's part of the reason why we're not seeing those rates come down. So again, a whole bigger conversation than we could have at a different point though. Yeah.
So I will actually say what I wrote to that original question there. Nurses want control over their lives, right? So just to reiterate the question for anybody who doesn't even remember, since I went off on a tirade, it was basically about if I could sit down with hospital executives, MSPs, agency owners in one room to make them understand travel nurses today, right? Or nurses today. So nurses want control over their lives. It doesn't mean that they lack commitment. So this is me talking to the hospital executives. Today's nurses are more informed than ever. They know a lot more about what's out there on the market. They know about the travel market now, where before pre-COVID, I mean, they heard about it, but they didn't really make a phone call or dive into it or Google it too much. Most of what they learned was from the tax man that we all know, from his blog, where we all learned half of our information. But they talk rates, they talk to each other. All these conversations are out in the open, and they understand when they're being valued. And you're going to lose them if you don't take care of them. And you have been losing them. And ironically, this will never end. This will be a forever cycle. Nurses are tired of being, I thought this was a good line, honestly. Nurses are tired of being praised publicly and dismissed operationally.
Yeah.
And then and this is for me, don't expect loyalty, right? You got employees and everyone thinks, oh, they're going to be loyal to me. They're going to be loyal to me. Don't expect it if you're not dishing it back out. Like seriously. And especially today's generation, I think what's the average life of I think it was like a year and a half. I think it's down now to like what, 8 months, a year and maybe 12 months or 14 months. The average life of a position of an employee in the newer generation, so like nurses will move on you. You're going to spend so much money precepting that and orienting that new nurse for the first 3 months. You're doubling salary because they can only take on the same patient load as whoever their preceptor is, right? So now you got 2 nurse salaries. You've got their benefits. You're taking care of all these things. I'm sure you've read the article that came out where it talked about $94 an hour it costs to staff a staff nurse versus like $89 an hour for a travel nurse because our people hit the ground running and are ready to go. So if I were to sit down in a room with hospital executives and I had a little bit of liquid gold in me and I had some gusto and I really wanted to say what I would say start paying your nurses fairly, understand what they actually do at the bedside, their role in that patient's care. They're there 12 hours. The doctor might be there for 30 minutes. Oh, maybe delete that. I love doctors, but like the nurses are there non-stop.
Yeah.
Pay them for it. And then you won't lose them to travel nursing or contract nursing that can help change their lives for all the other reasons we talked about.
Perfect. That is a great place to stop on the clock.
Yeah.
Have a drink.
Bro, that CVICU job, I was making $32 an hour. That's $64,000 a year. I've broken it down for nurses to help them understand. If you take that 32 an hour, multiply it by, I'm not going to do this in my head. I am not Rain Man or the guy from Suits. But if you take 32 an hour times 36 hours a week, I'm sure it's somewhere around $1,000. You knock 25% off in taxes.
Yeah.
That means that I was working for after tax in my bank account, $300 for a 12-hour shift. That is horrible. Horrible. So I don't know what can be done. I don't think anything ever will be done. There will always be a shortage, but we need to take care of our nurses. And if we as an agency can do that, if you as an agency can do that, then we all work together and we make it happen. Perfect.
Yep, absolutely. And to be fair, I've been trying, and I will never stop trying until the day I'm out of this industry and until I'm retired, just as a hermit in the mountains somewhere.
Right. And look, we all run profitable businesses. We all want to make money as well. Everybody can reap those rewards. The facility can get the coverage and they can bill the medical and have their procedures done. The nurse can make the money that they deserve, and the agencies can be compensated for the hard work that they put in on it. So, all right, I'll shut up so we can go to off the record.
All right, let's go off the record. Tell me who you were before all of this. And we kind of went into this a little bit, but I really want to know who Mark was before travel healthcare, before all of that, as growing up in Pennsylvania, right? In Philadelphia.
Yeah. I promise I will keep this one short. Because I'm going to give you a funny life track of I told you what led me there. Right. So I finished high school in 97. I didn't go to college. I went to tech school, like literally because I wanted to be a wide area network engineer. Okay. My brother was a programmer. So there was like around Philly, there was one of those like tech schools for that kind of tech, right? So I finished school. I became Cisco certified. I got my CCNA, Cisco Certified Network Associate. I passed all these tests by self-studying to get my CCNP, Network Professional, because I saw a guy one day come to the school in this leather bomber jacket with a number on it. And he was what was called a CCIE, Cisco Certified Internetwork Expert. And at the time, 98, 99, there was only 5,000 in the world. And I was like, I want to do that. That sounds freaking cool, dude. And I want that jacket, So I studied, I passed these tests. I became a CCNP, which is the next level below. For the CCIE, you had to fly to California. They locked you in a room for 24 hours, said with all their routers, said, build this network schematic, right? So they had it all mapped out, all these IP addresses, everything. Then you went home to sleep, and overnight they broke it. They tweaked things, they fixed things. Your next 24 hours was trying to find and then fix what they broke. I thought it was the coolest sounding thing in the world, right?
Oh, that's awesome.
So I finally got my CCNP. I'd been working in the field for about a year, contract. So traveling around.
Okay.
And what year happened? I think 2000 or 2001, .com bubble burst.
Yeah.
The floor fell out from underneath me. Couldn't find a job. Couldn't find a contract. Decided that I was going to go back to school to become something that I had talked about for a long time, maybe be a lawyer. Apparently I can talk. I don't know. So people thought I might be good at it, right? While I'm in school, a couple friends of mine at the time, again, remember it's early 2000, what industry started getting hot around then? Mortgages, right? Rates were good, around 5%, things like that. A couple of my friends had opened up some companies. I started working at one. And that was where I got into picking up a phone call, literally a yellow page. It's like these recruiters think they got it bad. Open up a yellow page and start calling, asking if somebody has a house that you can refinance. So I did mortgages, learned what I could from that, opened up my own business in New York, did it for a few years. And then what happened? 2008.
Yep.
The floor fell out from underneath me. I was living in Miami at the time. Was living in Miami at the time, had to figure out what I was going to do with my life. I think I was like 29 or 30. I got a job working at a company called Weatherby Locums through a friend, which is under CHD Healthcare. And I was working on the emergency medicine team doing physician locums. So I kind of got a taste of recruiting, hit President's Club my first year. I did great. But I realized that I needed something full time. And that leads to the half brother, stepsister. We're both nurse anesthetists. I wanted to move back up to Philly. At the age of 30, I needed help from my parents. I can say it. And they were there to help me out. Because back then I used to think 30 was old, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I went to school. I got a bachelor's. I finished up. I got my RN. I finished up with my bachelor's. I got my CCRN, led along this path. And the reason that I chose nursing, by the way, wasn't just because of my half-brother and stepsister. I had laughed after all of the things in life that had been like, oh, you get good at this? Let's drop the macroeconomics around you. Oh, you got good at this? Let's screw up that industry. So what's the one industry that will never go away? And unfortunately, people will always need healthcare. People will always be sick. It's an aging population. Let's go medical. And then the rest of the story of why I became a nurse and how I've gotten here. So that's the funny path of sorry, buddy. Okay, here you go.
And here you go now. So
and then COVID came, by the way, and I was like, is this happening again?
Yeah, exactly. Well, at that point, then you weren't a traveler anymore, and you were seeing all the money that was happening at the time, right? But then
this reminded me a lot of 2000 and 2008.
Yep.
So yeah,
absolutely true. So, is there a moment in time during your time as a traveler where you look back and thought, you know what, I could do this for a career. I could do this for the long term.
Yeah. So I wrote down here, I'm trying to think even now because I couldn't think of a specific moment. Right.
Okay.
I love the blend of what I'd learned in past careers, paired with what I'd learned clinically in nursing. I was already feeling an itch to get back into finance. I think maybe that's when it was. I think maybe it was around the time that my boss, my friend, my recruiter, Hope, had said to me, hey, why don't you, remember I told you, said, why don't you come in here and help me grow this business?
Right.
Because I was like, oh, wait a minute. I can have my cake and eat it too, right? Like I can still be a nurse, and I still worked as a nurse. Actually, I would still pick up PRN shifts for the first couple of years and stuff like that. So I can still be a nurse, but I can have that conversation about helping the nurse figure out how to get their mortgage. I can have a talk with them about the difference between itemized deductions and standard deductions and why they shouldn't necessarily worry about an audit. Not financial advice. I can have that conversation. I can have the life conversations about hey, pay your school loans off. Do this right now. Don't take the next 20 years to pay your school loans off. Become a travel nurse while you can. Well, I mean, before family, before kids and things like that. And even they can, by the way, but you know that. So I got to see that I could have these conversations and be in all the fields. And I think when that clicked, it was like, oh, I can, and I want to make this a career for myself in staffing.
Makes sense. All right. Last question.
Yes.
What's something that you're proud of that has nothing to do with nursing, recruiting, leadership, anything that you're doing right now? What's something that you're proud of beyond all of that?
so it's hard because the things I'm proud of are my accomplishments, right? And my accomplishments come from getting my BSN, finishing college, going back to college. I'm proud of advancing my career. I'm proud of studying for the CCRM, which was a B of a test, man, like harder than the NCLEX. I'm proud of passing that. I'm proud of having the word I want you, the strength to go and take the leap into travel nursing. I'm proud of my wife. I'm proud of my kids, of course. Yeah, I'm proud of all that. I don't think that I'm proud of my accomplishments, right? Like I'm proud of the things I've done. So you make it hard though, because you say you can't be with nursing, can't be with recruiting, can't be with leadership or work. So then it must be family, right? I never played sports. I mean, I played when I was a kid. So I'm proud of that one touchdown I had when I was 8 over the other kid in the neighborhood, maybe, but I'm proud of my wife and my kids. So that's what I think I'd like to end that on.
And I think the answer to that question is whatever you want it to be, right? It can be that, but it can also be like, no, I'm going to break the rules here. I am proud of all these things. Like this is who I am. It is my identity. Like I am proud of awards and things that I have done here, because I know ultimately everything that I do and everything that you do, what you do there, leads to good patient care in the end. Right?
Yes.
Everything that we do when we get up and come to work every single day, and the decisions that we make and the people that we put into those positions take care of people that we love or that somebody else loves.
Yeah.
And that's okay to be proud of that. That's all right.
And shout out to a nurse who I won't name that we just received notification today, gotten 3 nominations for the Daisy Award.
Nice.
Awesome. She was literally like crying when we were talking to her about it. Like that's awesome, dude. Yep. And it makes you feel good, obviously, as an agency as well, when one of your people, took that kind of care for patients. So that's awesome.
Yep. All right. Rapid fire. Finish the sentence. Yes. Okay.
Wait.
All right. One more. I'm going to say the last little bit for the end here.
Okay.
In honor of Stephen Colbert, what kind of sandwich is best?
I'm Philly, dude. Cheesesteak. And there's no other answer. Cooper Sharp cheesesteak.
Okay. All right.
It's got to be from Philly, because everything else is a fraud.
That's 100% true. So, and I love my time in Philadelphia. I've spent a lot of time there. Some of the best food I ever had was in Philadelphia. With Whiz,
I'm a Cooper Sharp. So I used to be American, but honestly, I'm who am I? I'll have it with Whiz or with that. Normally I'm going to go one way, but if I want a cheesesteak and all they got is with Whiz, I will gladly eat that cheesesteak.
There we go. Perfect. Yep. What's the worst advice you ever got?
This is where I call out mama.
I can't wait.
My parents have the worst the advice I ever got was my mother telling me to not pursue the family's jewelry business back when I was like 16 to 20 years old, along with my brother, because I should become a doctor or a lawyer or the things that all of our parents want us to go and become.
Sure.
Because I know, looking back, my brother now has that business, but he was never super serious on it. If we had gone through the whole .com era, people creating websites, social media birth, we would have turned, as you know, Gary Vee turned his parents' wine business into a multi-million-dollar online industry. I have no doubt that we would have multiple jewelry stores, and we would have been massive by now. Could be wrong, but I like to think that in my head. So this was a tough one, because usually it's like, give me the advice that you most believed in, or give me the best advice you've ever gotten. It's hard to, you're kind of twisting it up on me, man. So there it is. Mama's advice was the worst, even though I love my mother and she's an amazing woman.
I love it. That's a good answer. That's an interesting answer. Your guilty pleasure right now is?
RDR2, Red Dead Redemption 2. So listen, man, 2 years ago, my daughter she is 10 now. She was 8. She was on her iPad nonstop. And I'm like, all right, maybe I can get her off the iPad if I get her a PS5. We didn't have a gaming system. I hadn't gamed in 20 years.
Okay.
She didn't play I swear this was not my plan, but she did not play the PS5. I started playing it. Somebody was like, you got to try Red Dead Redemption 2. I I think I've been playing the game for 2 years. I beat it 7 or 8 times, but now I just go and sit down in that chair and I ride a horse around. I go fishing and I play poker in a local saloon. And sometimes I rob a bank. But it is just, you know what I forgot about gaming? You watch TV and your brain doesn't necessarily turn off because you have to pay attention and process what you're doing. But sometimes just playing a game, like, you don't have to use your brain at all. And sometimes after what we do all day long, conflict resolution, all these things that we do, sometimes, and I don't want to drink every night. So sometimes just turning that brain off, it's good. So my guilty pleasure is a stupid video game called RDR2.
Awesome. I had no idea. That's super cool. I always thought that
nobody had any idea. So
I am very familiar with the game. I have watched multiple TikToks about guys that are hunting down like cross on some mountain or whatever.
You got to get that legendary elk pelt, man. Those elks are hard to find, first of all.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm absolutely familiar. So, all right. What's the most used app on your phone?
Probably Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. I still call it Twitter. And I think it's because it's got news, AI, and crypto, and like anything else that I'm somewhat interested in, just at my fingertips, like right in the moment, if I want to scroll and just like see what's going on in the news. Half the crap on there is fake anyway, or just untrue, or you never know what's real or not. But I would say that my joke was going to be Teams, unfortunately, for work, but I think it's probably X or Twitter, honestly.
Gotcha. Okay. Last question. Travel healthcare staffing would be better if
large agencies shut down and we could share their actives.
I love it. And I know exactly who you're talking about here. So I love that. So yeah, yes, that is a great place to end. Do me a favor. How can people get in touch with you, with your company, with everything that you do? Where can they find you?
So, it's funny. I want to touch on something right now. I was wondering, have you ever had agencies on this cast before? Because why would you want to bring another agency? I don't consider us competition, right? We're in completely different markets, but I find it really interesting that you just said that, because it's humbling a little bit. I'm Mark Z. You can reach me at markz@armstaffing.com. My number is 610-467-9513. I'm going to get so many prank calls. But yeah, I mean, I'm surprised you said that.
No, because, and I'll tell you exactly why, because we sharpen each other by being better. And I had this conversation with Chris Sund over at Unity, and I've had this conversation with others in the industry too. We can be friends and we can have beers and we can do these kinds of things, and we can share information and share ideas and all of that. But as soon as this is over and I close my laptop and I go back to work, I will bleed to beat you. I will do everything I can. It is as much a team sport as anything out there. And I don't know if our industry is unique like that, and I can tell you it wasn't always like that, especially in Omaha. Oh. Early on, it was not.
Oh God.
No. Yeah. We were taught to hate the other industries.
Well, of course, because you guys all stemmed out of Omaha from the one company. It was funny because it was very similar in Fort Lauderdale when I worked at Weatherby Locums, because there was one company that all these guys came out of, and then they opened up their own locums companies. It's very similar to Omaha, and I always reference that anytime I'm talking about this exact thing.
No, we are 100% better together and sharing ideas. If we share these ideas, we all get better, and it makes the industry better. It makes everything that we do better.
We can all eat. You know what I mean? So,
absolutely.
Yeah. Amen.
Yeah.
Awesome, dude.
Mark, thank you so much. I appreciate being on with me today.
Is your beer done?
I got this much left. Here we go. Ready?
I got a little bit too. Cheers. Rich, you're awesome, dude. Thank you for having me on here. I appreciate you. I told you before, you were one of the guys I was always watching when I became a travel nurse and right before becoming one. It's kind of like a full circle thing. So appreciate you having me on, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again real soon.
All right. We'll talk to you soon, friend. Join us for our next episode where we talk to another industry insider about the staffing world.